Good morning, friends and family. It is November the 16th, and I wanted to bring you this Monday message just to encourage you. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I did want to bring you this message, though, because I wanted you to hear from me, not some talking expert on TV or some medical person that has studied and researched coronavirus. I wanted you to hear it from someone that is living it. This is day 5 of COVID, and I wanted to just bring you my firsthand experience with it. So I was exposed to it in my workplace, a building that requires temperature checks upon entry, a building that makes wearing the mask mandatory. We were told on Monday that someone had it and that therefore we may have been exposed to it. A full day later, I had a slight headache that then kind of got a little worse as the day progressed, and muscular aches, just body aches, just not feeling right. And then a full 2 days later, on Wednesday, I knew that my body was trying to tell me something. And so, sure enough, I went and got tested, and the viral load was high enough to where they were able to do a rapid test and determine that I had the dreaded coronavirus. The first 2 nights, the fever and the body aches were pretty tough. I'm not going to lie. I ran a fever somewhere between 100 and 101.6. And that was tough. It took its toll. I still had my sense of taste, my sense of smell. The headache went away. It was mainly just body aches and fever. And then after the fevers went away and the body aches lessened, I noticed that the old sense of taste wasn't what it used to be. But thank God that God gives us other senses. This brown liquid that's warm, I know is coffee. So while my taste buds may not be telling me how good a coffee it is, it's coffee. I know it. So the sense of smell and taste are getting a little less as the days go on. But I just wanted to let you know that, as the president said after his dealing with coronavirus, this is not something that you should allow to control your life. This is not something that you should be deathly afraid of. You should take precautions. You should be wise. But even in a building where there are temperature checks and where there are masks that are mandatory to wear, there is a likelihood and a chance that you'll be exposed to it. And I just wanted to encourage you that as someone that is going through it, not an expert, not an infectious disease expert or anything like that. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express one time. But as someone that is living through this, I just wanted to encourage you. Give me just a second. This is what happens when you're sick, but also on doggy duty. The thought occurs to me that in our culture, we're real quick to want to suppress the idea of, ooh, I have a headache, or I have pain, or something's wrong. And yet God has created the body in such a way that he's trying to get your attention about something. And C.S. Lewis, who is most famous as an author for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, wrote so many other books that if you haven't read them, you're really missing out. But in his book called The Problem of Pain, this is what he said: God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks to us in our conscience, but shouts to us in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. We're real quick to take something and suppress that pain, or we're real quick to want to not be in discomfort or to be uncomfortable. And I worry that sometimes we miss out on it. Perhaps this was God's way of slowing me down with pastoring and with working full-time and probation and parole, and all these trips that I've been taking to Monroe and other things going on. Maybe this was God's only way of saying, let's hit the pause button, because it has afforded me a lot more time in prayer and in devotion. How about this from that same book by C.S. Lewis? Everyone has noticed how hard it is to turn our thoughts to God when everything is going well with us. We have all we want is a terrible saying when all does not include God. We find God in an interruption. And how true that is, that sometimes when things are just going perfect, when things are going great, we are less dependent on God, and that shouldn't be. So here's what I wanted to leave you with today from 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 31. Therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do everything for God's glory. You can have COVID for God's glory. You can allow yourself to use anything to slow you down and to give you more time in meditation and more time in study. But do it all for God's glory. Look for the God moments in your sickness. Look for the God moments in your suffering and in your headache or pain. Do it all for God's glory. I'm going to keep staying hydrated on the Gatorades. Still enjoy my coffee, even though it may not taste like it used to. I'm going to make sure that I make the most. I make the most of what I'm going through, and that I take advantage of this opportunity. God bless you. Stay focused. Stay faithful.